Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us on this multi-surface use webinar as part of the Social Ability Happiness Programme. My name's Chris and I am Client Success Director at Social Ability. I help to try and implement the happiness programme for all of our care service clients, and I'm joined this afternoon by Rebecca.
Hello, I'm Rebecca. I'm a Social Impact Manager at Social Ability with the Happiness Programme as well.
Super, rightio. So over the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes, we're just going to kind of chat you through some of the different ways and means that we use different surfaces to help support the use of the happiness program and the Magic Table 360. So I'm just going to start off by running through some advantages and benefits of actually using the technology on those different surfaces, and then we're going to go in to actually show some of the games on walls, floors, bed sheets, ceilings, and we've got some fun extras at the end as well to kind of run you through, which might help to kind of spark some ideas on different ways that you can get the most from the technology. We'll then have our contact details and a bit of a summary at the end, so if you do want to reach out to us after you've watched this, please definitely do so. We'd love to hear from you. So yeah, just to begin, so some advantages and benefits, just to give you an idea or give you a little bit of background into why we use the technology on different surfaces and in different contexts, different environments. We're really kind of concentrating on three things whenever we're thinking about the advantages and benefits. To start off with, we're thinking about being as inclusive as possible with using the technology for our different service users or residents who maybe have different physical profiles, people who are maybe less immobile or find it really difficult to get out of bed, and also for people who maybe prefer socially distanced activities. It's obviously been a very strange year during 2020 and most of 2021, so being able to kind of use the technology in different ways can just be a really, really great way to make it inclusive activity provision for the range of service users and residents that you might work with on a daily basis. Aside from that, it's really a case of having as much fun as possible, and that variety of not just playing the games on tables, but also having a go at the games on walls and ceilings and floors and bed sheets, as we're going to go on to show you as part of the webinar. It can just add that little bit of an extra dimension to the games, that extra little bit of fun to help engage and stimulate your service users or residents in that little bit of a different way. And then from a kind of care perspective, we think about the advantages and benefits in terms of kind of specific purposes or environments. And this can range depending on, what type of service you are. For care homes or for respite services, that could be to try and help with bedside activities or helping people who maybe walk with the purpose a lot during the evenings, and you maybe want to help to encourage them to go back to bed or get into bed or remind them of what time of day it is. For a lot of learning disability services, I know that sensory rooms have been, a really, really key aspect of the service that you provide. So incorporating the Magic Table 360 into those different types of environments can be a really, really great way to help try and get the most from the technology as well. Aside from that, one of the other really big advantages is that whenever you're not playing on a table, you sometimes have a little bit more space to play with. So we know that the surface area, the projection area of the magic table can be bigger on floors and sometimes bigger on walls and ceilings. So giving that little bit more of a kind of larger picture to play on, so you can maybe get more service users or residents involved. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a run through of the advantages and the benefits, some of the things that we think about whenever we're trying to recommend some of the games whenever we're working with services on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to go on now to chat through wall play. I'm going to hand over to Rebecca in just a second. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you'll be able to see Rebecca's magic table.
Great, thanks Chris. So I have my magic table projecting on the wall at the moment. It's a light coloured wall, and I've chosen a game that not only has it got a lot of movement so that players don't actually have to reach out to interact, I've also chosen one that works at this angle. So this particular game can be used at any angle. You can see the fish move around to all the different angles, so it doesn't matter. I can also turn up the sound on my magic table to create a really sensory experience, and this would be ideal for something like a sensory room or a sensory wall. or for just anybody who's sitting up and just wants to enjoy watching the fish, listening to the sounds, almost like a fish tank. And you can see how it's very easy to manoeuvre with your hands, just twisting that front part of the projector onto the wall. You might notice that at this angle, the menu is a little bit different, but we have created a 90-degree set of games so that any games that you would expect to be facing the right way will be at the right angle for you. So this includes games like Sweet Shop here, but we are kind of 90% of the way, which is brilliant. And as you can see, the longer props will help you if you wanted to use this on the wall. You could use your hands, have people standing or seated, reaching out with their hands, but you might prefer to use something like an extending prop, like a pool noodle or a feather duster, or anything that suits your player's needs.
Brilliant, that's great, Rebecca. Thanks so much for that. Do you want to go on to show us some of the floor play games now and how they can be utilised?
Yep, that's perfect. So I'm now projecting on my floor. I've got a white sheet just to brighten the colours up, and it just helps have a barrier between your players and the floor if they're using their hands or seated directly on the floor. And you might see that these leaves, it's quite good to have them on the floor because that's where leaves normally are. One of the advantages of having this on the floor is the really wide playing surface, and you can benefit players even more with social distancing by using those extending props. So it just helps if you want a really wide participation, have lots of people around the projection. And you can see that even without the white sheet, it's still quite bright on my particular floor. But this is really effective, and you can have fun having a really familiar activity, have it really lifelike. Choosing lots of ways to play this game. As I say, there's many different ways. You could roll something through, use your props, you could have fun creating different piles of leaves. And it's not just the autumn leaves game that works well on the floor. There's obviously lots that you can choose from. So some of them are more obvious, like the football game would work great. Some of the other really sensory games, we have rose petals, there's the ripples game, that would be really effective. So just see what would be the most kind of lifelike and interesting for your players. So handing back to Chris now, who's going to be able to talk us through even more surfaces such as the ceiling and bed sheets.
Brilliant, that's great, Rebecca. Thanks so much for that. And you can already see just through the images, you know, how much of a greater playing surface that you get whenever you do play on the floor. So it can be a really useful tool to help kind of vary up usage. Yeah, so just to kind of show where we are in the kind of presentation in the schedule, we've kind of ran through with you how to play some of the games on the wall. We've gone on to show some floor play, and now I'm going to go on to show ceiling play as well as bed sheet play. And you can kind of see on the slide that we're showing on the screen at the minute, we've got some example games. We'll try and run through as many of those as possible whenever I'm actually showing the games in real life in just a second. Okay, so I have my magic table set up at the moment. Just as Rebecca showed you how to play the games on the wall, I'm going to quickly spin around to my unit just to show you how easy it is to rotate onto the ceiling. So you can, again, go the whole way around for the wall play, but then up and onto the ceiling, and you'll see that image appearing just there. I've got my magic table kind of close to the top of my pole at the minute, so it's got a slightly smaller playing surface. If the magic table was slightly further down the pole, you'd get that larger surface. Again, completely up to you how you'd like to kind of set it up. There's then some of the games which I find are particularly good for ceiling play, and that specific category I normally go to is in our natural wonder category. So in the natural wonder category, we've got stargaze, we've got ripples, we've got hot air balloons, we've got sunrise, and we've got sunset. Stargaze is one of the games for the ceiling that I'd really recommend, particularly good for a nighttime activity. It's a really kind of magical starry sky. some really nice sounds that are attached to this game as well. So it can be a really great way to try and perhaps remind someone if they're walking with a purpose an awful lot that it's maybe that time of the day where they should maybe think about going to sleep, or reminding them that it's bedtime. And overall, not just the Stargaze game, but all of the games in the Natural Wonder category are games which are really relaxing. They're great games if you do have someone who is maybe less mobile as well. There's maybe bedbound who can't move so much. Having that stimulation alongside the noises and to give them some engagement while they're lying in bed can be a really great way to kind of provide that activity provision whenever it be otherwise really difficult to do. And I hope you can hear the really nice noises in the background as well, just while I'm playing. So yeah, that is our ceiling play games. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my magic table background again to play on the bed sheets. So if you just give me a second. So just like that, I've rotated the magic table around, and I'm now playing the games on the bed sheets. So this is a feature of the happiness program and the Magic Table 360 that I know kind of during the pandemic, and even continuing on now while people are having to isolate or people are having to stay in their rooms, and even more generally, pre-pandemic for people who maybe didn't engage so much in regular activities throughout a home, being able to play the games in people's rooms, being able to bring the technology to them and play them at their bedsides and on their bed sheets has been a really amazing experience for a lot of people. And a lot of these games have that element of kind of reach and touch. So if someone is lying in bed, giving them the opportunity to put their hand out and reach out and pop balloons or pop bubbles or whatever it happens to be. And because the balloons or the bubbles or flowers, whatever game it is that you put on, because those images are showing on themselves, it can really help to increase that intuitive engagement and give them that stimulation to actually move and reach out and touch and have that sensory element to the game. I'll just quickly show you the bubble pop game, the bubble burst game. Again, same type of concept as what I've just said. We've had some amazing reactions and stories with it, just because with the sounds and with the movement of the bubbles, it's just a really immersive experience, which can really help people to kind of get the most from the technology. So yeah, that's kind of how easy it is and how simple it is to play on bed sheets. And I'm just going to hand over to Rebecca again to chat through a couple of fun extras that we've also seen incorporated into use over the past kind of year or so.